Chris Bowl.
Here.
Pam Rowland.
Here.
Paul Tinney.
Here.
Benjamin Stanley.
Present.
Michael Harrison.
Here.
Buckman. I see Joseph Fair. Sean Fletcher.
Present.
Caitlin Becken.
Present.
If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Introduction of guests. I don't see any guests. Any changes to the agenda? I don't see any special presentations. Approval of the November minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the November minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Actually, I would like to make a change if.
Oh.
And we may have had a little bit of this conversation before you joined us. We discussed at length park rules at the last board meeting, and we were going to continue a conversation about that. Between then and now, we did receive an email from Sean Fletcher, the Parks and Recreation Director, I believe in consultation with the city attorney's office, stating that no changes would be made to the park rules. And I guess I would like to put some sort of a notation in the minutes about that email, just basically for transparency.
I mean, we can add it to this month's meeting minutes as a, like in reference to last.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's fine with me, as long as there's some notation to it, because I know.
I guess, can you just maybe read the contents of that? I mean, so those are the rules. We went through like 8 rules and we were going to change the 8 rules on the sign or whatever.
We were going to make some changes to the rules.
Right.
After the meeting, there was an email from Sean. I believe after consultation with the city attorney's office, stating basically that the rules are in place for reasons. One, basically liability for the city. I don't know all of the reasons,
okay.
But that there wouldn't be changes to those rules. Did you have a comment, Sean? Ben, you did. Go ahead. Ben, you're muted.
There was a message that came up that said you're muted and taught you how to unmute it. That's cool. Was there a consultation with the attorney after our meeting in November, or was there a consultation with Deputy City Attorney Richard Cherry years ago?
Both. Richard Cherry approved the rules as they are currently for the dog park. I consulted with Clyde Robinson to craft the email that I crafted.
Thank you.
So do we want to approve the November meeting minutes, and we'll put some sort of a notation about this conversation in our December meeting minutes?
Yeah, Paul's motion's still on the table, so I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of approving the November meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So moved. Go ahead, Michael.
I just want to make sure that what we are eyeing or naying is the amendments that are made based off of your statement I don't know if Paul's statement reflects that or not based off his original motion, but I just want to make sure that the record reflects either it'll be put on this month's minutes as a notation, or like, how do we make sure that the meeting makes sure that, it's in that for transparency moving forward?
Shannon's got it. She's recording the minutes, so she'll put it in there as you just stated.
So it's this month, not last.
Correct.
Yes. So we approved the meeting minutes for November as written. My comments about the email, the subsequent email that came from Sean will be included in the December meeting minutes. Old business. Applicant decision on Randy X, and I don't want to destroy her last name. She was our board applicant in November. I guess I'm looking for some sort of movement on her application. I know Michael would prefer that we have more of more standards in place, more requirements for our new board members, and I guess I'm wondering, do we want to vote on her becoming a board member, or do we prefer to table?
I'll make a motion to approve her as a board member, and if anybody wants to take that somewhere, feel free. I really like that she has experience with events. I feel like there's a sector of our parks department, especially with the youth, that we do a really good job with. But I do think that we could make some improvements with people utilizing the parks on like a regular basis, or some of like these winter events that we want to do. And I feel like she'd be really helpful for that.
Is there a second? I guess at this point, I'm not sure what we should do. I mean, I guess, Chris, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I don't remember much about the applicant. So my apologies. John, are you able to refresh us briefly?
Unfortunately, I don't have her application in front of me. I think one of Michael's concern was that she really kind of lacked knowledge of the Parks and Recreation Department. And I think what Michael wanted to do is develop some sort of criteria, rather than saying she's a really great person and she's got a lot of energy, but something a little bit more concrete. And I think that's what Michael's hesitation was. Is that it, Michael?
No, yeah, and I think that part of it is probably going to be kind of discussed as we move on through our new business today, and kind of further that discussion about what it looks like for us. So I'm not against the board applicant whatsoever. I just want to make sure we understand the holes that are missing or what we want to plug and fill. So I'd like to make the motion to kind of table this subject, this applicant's decision until January, until we have a new board chair and we've kind of moved on to that next period and we have a better understanding about orientation and expectation of how we plan to operate moving forward.
I think that's fair, and we can let her know that. We can reach out to her and let her know that.
I think it's fair too. I guess my hesitation is we've already kind of put her on hold, but is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, well, we'll put Randy on hold again and revisit this in January. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So moved. Winter events and activities. I don't know if we have any progress on that. Sean?
Aye.
Go ahead. Joseph?
I think
Sean?
he's experiencing a delay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we did have a meeting with the first tee of Southwest Michigan on Monday about a
No, I'm
golf
good,
event,
John. Thank you.
about a golf event on Woods Lake. It would be
Yes, I am.
it would be a winter golf event on the actual ice. I used to live on Long Lake and Portage, and they had one every year, and it was hugely popular and crazy fun. It will be, you don't drill holes in the ice and lose your golf balls. You just kind of go down about 4 inches, and that's, like the ice fishing hole is the cup. You use regular golf balls, golf clubs. We'll probably do hot cocoa and stuff like that. It's a family fun, family friendly event. We're very early in the planning for it. We want to get some marketing out and get some excitement around it, but we're fired up about that. I can give an update on the rink later during my time, but we did add that event to our list, and then we're going to be at Spring Valley. Hopefully, if we can get the weather to cooperate and get some ice in the rink, we have an event out there in this mid-February, I believe. The ice golf tournament on Woods Lake would be in the last Saturday in January. I think it's the 29th.
Sean, is there a fee associated with that, or is this just something for fun?
I think we were saying $10 for a group of 4.
Oh, okay.
With proceeds going to the first tee of Southwest Michigan.
Okay.
We've always found it's helpful to have when people have a little skin in the game. Otherwise, you get a lot of people saying, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to be there. And you get hot cocoa for 8,000 people and then 1,000 people show up. So.
Okay. Park rules. Oh, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
Hey, one question I wanted to ask Sean about the winter events and activities, seeing I have seen little to no snow whatsoever in Kalamazoo, and keeping my fingers crossed. I know we talked about that sledding competition in Spring Valley Park, knowing that it'd be kind of like a fourth quarter pass, right? Knowing that if it snows in January, we might already have a January plan in place. Is it something that you think could be attempted this year for winter activities, or should we just kind of table it and plan for maybe another time that we expect a typical winter?
I think if we're going to do something in January, we need to start to formulate a plan for that now, because we're going to have, the big thing is to promote it and get some information out there about it. So yeah, that's something our team needs to have a discussion about. I mean, I don't see any reason we couldn't do that, at the spring or at the mid-February event at Spring Valley. We could incorporate that into that event.
Joseph, could you mute, please? Yeah, I think he's delaying. Any other comments about winter events and activities? I think Sean indicated that we'll continue that conversation under
I will.
his comments.
Is there any word on the Spring Valley ice rink? Is that might happen this year, or?
I think, Ben, he's going to discuss that in his comments, Sean's comments. I hope.
Yep, director report.
Old business, park rules, continuation of that, or did my comments earlier cover that? Ben, go ahead.
So I struggle with some of these rules, and I know that really bothers some people, and I'm sorry. We all got an email with park rules, and I know this was written within 2 years, because public safety's phone number changed 2 years ago. For example, it says parks are open from 8 a.m. until dusk. And I've talked to several police officers that are under the impression, based off of the park rules, that that includes Bronson Park. They've told me Officer Pena offered to give me a misdemeanor for being sitting on a park bench in Bronson Park at 11 after the second city commission in July in 2019. And I don't think that's appropriate. I was even wearing like nice slacks and a button-up shirt, and I was like clean shaven at that time. I was looking fly. He was just trying to do his job, and the rules say the parks are closed. Right now is past dusk. If anybody is in a city park right now, they could be cited for a misdemeanor charge. I don't know if that's the best thing, but I'm only one voice, and I'm just expressing that. That's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. It's illegal to wade in any water except for Kick Pool and Woods Lake. That would mean that you can't wade in the water at Spring Valley. And if you do, it's a misdemeanor charge.
Well, I think Sean indicated in his email to us that with consultation with the city attorney's office, those rules are in place for a reason. I don't know why. I guess that perhaps that's a question for a city attorney. I don't know. And before the meeting started, Sean suggested that he'd be willing to invite someone from that office, provided we provide them some sort of a detail as to what the conversation is going to entail. And perhaps that would be helpful to have someone from that office come to one of these meetings. Would that be helpful?
So, I mean, I was asking these questions for years. I was encouraged to apply to the board, so I did. I asked the questions as the board. We all had the conversation together. We kind of got stuck up on a couple of the rules at the dog park, but overall, we came up with a consensus with Sean's guidance that he sent to us in writing of what rules he wanted to change. We agreed with 95% of what he said. I think we changed because there's the 4-month and because there's the vaccination and they're both there, like that kind of stuff. We were just like, it's the same thing. Let's just combine it into one rule. I really don't understand the point of this board.
I guess we on the board can't necessarily answer those questions for you, and that's why I'm seeking the advice of perhaps the attorney's office.
Who Michael made a motion, and we all agreed that we'd invite him last time, and Sean put in writing that he watched the meeting in the email, so he was aware of that. And there wasn't even an invitation sent.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
So I thought Sean had said earlier that he's willing to have the city attorney here, but we need to have explicit questions to ask. And Ben, I think your question about swimming in Spring Valley Park or the park hours for Bronson Park, I mean, that might make sense, but I think we want to have very specific questions that we give to them so they can formulate an appropriate answer and then come back and either explain it.
Okay.
But I don't, your questions are definitely valid.
It doesn't feel like it. I just need to make sure that everybody here in the public knows it does not feel that way whatsoever.
I guess, Ben, we don't quite know how to answer your questions, and I guess that's why I think it's important to have someone who can answer those questions come to a meeting.
For example, you all know I was charged with dog at large because my dog was off a leash at the dog park, outside of the fence, but at the dog park. And I appealed that behavior to the police department. And they said it was appropriate. And so I appealed it to the C-SCRAB meeting. And at the C-SCRAB meeting, which is the Citizen Police Oversight Board, they brought up some park rules that they're not posted anywhere at the park. They're not posted anywhere on the website. They're not posted anywhere that I can find.
Ben, did
And
you
I-
refuse to put your dogs on a leash? Is that why you were issued the misdemeanor?
Point of order. I'm trying to finish my sentence here. There were park rules brought up that said your dog have to be on a leash. And that park rule does not exist right now. It existed on an application to a park membership that has not existed since at least 2018. And so I sent an email to Sean last night saying, are these park rules still valid? Are they enforceable? Because the police are saying that I violated them. And Sean's response was, I quote, I think you should talk to KDPS. That was the entire email. So I want to know if there is a rule on the books that says for Fairmount Dog Park, rule number 4, your dog has to be on a leash, because it's not posted at the park. It's not posted on the website for Fairmount Dog Park. And nobody can answer the question, is there a rule? Thank you.
Ben, if I understand correctly, a leash law is a state law, but and perhaps Sean can answer that. Go ahead, Sean, you have your hand up.
It's a city ordinance, it's a state law.
Okay,
Yeah, and I thought we had determined that last time.
okay. I guess at this point, I'd like to continue, and Ben, if you do want to continue this conversation with someone from the city attorney's office
They won't
present
talk to me.
next month,
So
because I think that's the person that would be able to answer these questions for us.
They won't talk to me.
But if we have them in this forum, in this meeting, if we provide Sean with a list of specific questions, he said that he would either present them to the city attorney's office or have them attend our next meeting. Ben, can you do that? Can you compile a list of your questions and we'll submit those to Sean, and then he can submit those to the city attorney's office? Michael, you had a question.
Yeah, so I am trying to I understand all parties and still want the solution. Is it possible for us to develop a committee that looks at potential park rules to change, and the committee gets we'll talk to the city and then the lawyer, the city lawyer, to kind of clarify whether even possible. Because the one thing I don't want to do, because I want us to acknowledge that what we're talking about, but I also wanted to have some kind of solution that we are working towards, and we're not just talking about it. So maybe we can develop a committee that works on some of these issues on the back end, develops not only these park issues for the dog, but other issues that might make sense to kind of reflect and change. And now when we have these people in this room, we say, hey, not only do we need these issues changed, we got a list of maybe 10 more. And then as a collective body, we can say yes, no, maybe so to those, and recommend those changes as a collective body to the department to be changed, instead of it just being focused on some of the ones we've highlighted right now. Because I'm sure if it's these, it's probably tons across the board that we might need to revisit. But until we take a bigger look at all of them and put some extra eyes to it, we might not know. So my suggestion is to develop a committee it out, develop a timeline for a report, work with Sean, work with the city lawyer, and then we can have all this kind of addressed in a timely fashion so it won't be stuck in old business.
Michael, is that something that you and Ben would be willing to work on together? Ben, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I asked for that in the October meeting,
Okay,
and Sean said that we would not have subcommittees. So
okay.
I just respected that. But I think if Michael says it, it might mean something more.
Why don't the two of you work on that? I mean, I think that's a great idea. That way you can compile your questions that can be sent to the city attorney's office. So yeah, I think that's a safe resolution for us. Okay,
So, I mean, I think a couple of us had some questions, but
go ahead. Paul,
I'll
I'm
start
sorry.
off. I guess first off, we looked at rules last week, and the city attorney came back and said that they weren't going to change the rules. So I understand that you might want to form a subcommittee and propose more rules and stuff, but I think basically what Michael was saying is, can we get some guidance on what authority we have to even recommend rules and to give any sort of changes to rules? Because no reason to just waste our time on this board talking about rules what we have no impact on. So if this is beyond our authority, then we need to drop it. I mean, it's taking up too much of the meeting, or we need to like push for more ownership of that. And so I think we need that answer first, and just like, what authority do we have? If we give guidance, are they going to possibly change rules, or is this out of our hands? And then I guess one thing I'd appreciate is that we maybe put in our agenda, and that we have more focus, narrower limits on these items. Like if we say park rules, I was under the impression that this was a dog park rule thing that we were discussing today, and we're expanding beyond that. And like, we need to limit our scope in a meeting like this to something realistic. And I just would ask for that in the future meeting agendas, that we limit our scope and we concentrate on things that we can take action on as a board. So I guess my first request is that we do get an answer on rules. So Sean, I don't know if you could help with that. Can you help us figure out if we have any authority over the city rules in parks?
So PRAB is an advisory board.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, I think there's some merit to, like the park hours, Bronson Park. Obviously, people aren't going to get kicked out of Bronson Park down there looking at the lights during the holidays. I mean, they're just not going to do it, obviously. But we can clarify that via, the rules. And I think that's fine. What I think needs to happen, and I agree with you, the scope needs to be narrowed. Let's get an understanding of what rules there are questions or concerns about. I can share that with the city attorney, and they can come to the next meeting if they'd like, or they can say to me, these rules, we're not going to change these, or you can change a couple of these if you'd like, but wholesale changes don't need to be made. I don't think. I think there's a couple that probably need to be tweaked. The dog park rules, I'm firm on. I don't know that those rules need to be changed, and that's why I sent the email that I sent.
Go ahead, Ben.
I think Chris has had a question or his hand up for a while.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my apologies. This is a little bit of a breakaway from the park rules, but I have an orchestra concert that I need to leave to attend in 10 minutes. So I can't finish my final meeting with you guys. So I did want to say this has been awesome. And I appreciate every single one of you guys. And thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Thanks for your service.
Hey, will you be at the next meeting? Because the bylaws say that you continue to serve until someone's filled your spot.
I think we're deciding that tonight, Ben.
Okay.
Uh,
You guys let me know.
Chris, I really appreciate your hard work on this board. I really appreciate your input on Glen Park. Let's get that plan finalized, and I really appreciate your contributions to this board.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Nice serving with you.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, we don't need to go through everything, but you guys are awesome. Thank you. I don't want to derail the whole meeting.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thanks for serving with us, Chris. It's been great to get to know you a little bit and talk about bike stuff sometimes. I just wanted to respond to Paul's question about the authority. It's in our bylaws in Kalamazoo Code 23-30 that there is hereby created and established a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to consist of 9 voting members. Oh, wait, sorry. I don't know. I take it back. I apologize.
So at this point, Michael, Ben, are you willing to supply Sean with a list of rule changes that you'd like to see either eliminated or changed or implemented, so that Sean can present those to the city attorney's office?
I'm more than willing to do that.
Okay.
Is there any way to get a copy of all of the current rules, or do I need to formally FOIA that? I see Sean shaking his head.
They'll be provided.
Okay, including the ones I asked for last night in the email.
The one,
Go ahead, Michael.
the one request that I just would like to put out there is some kind of timeline. So it's like there is an expectation from you to us and us to you about what we're discussing, when it's happening. Even if it's not a January conversation, there is some kind of follow-up that maybe the lawyers and Sean can have for a presentation at the board, but some kind of timeline for the follow-up would be greatly appreciated moving into 2022.
I would say by the end of February. Can you get back to the board by the end of February? Okay. That's a goal. We'll have a list of potential changes to the rules for the parks. We'll present those at a February board meeting, end of February. And we'll send those on to Sean. Did you have a question, Ben? Comment?
I'm just wondering, at some point, can I get a little bit of guidance with, like, I mean, for example, the Spring Valley, it being illegal to wade in the water at Spring Valley. I think everybody agrees that's absurd. Everybody might feel differently about dog leashes. I can see that. Is there some guidance? I don't want to waste 3 months of my time going through all the park rules voluntarily for free out of the kindness of my heart, and then have you guys come back and go, no, this is for liability.
I have to understand, I don't know the history of not being able to wade in Spring Valley. I really don't. I don't know if there's some safety reason. I can, ask around and find out. And that's why it'd be helpful to run things past the city attorney as well, because they may have some of the history. Clyde probably does, because he's been here for a long time. But if I can get the questions in advance, then I can understand some of the history where it's applicable, and then we can keep this thing moving forward.
Chris, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Paul's comment about keeping us focused, because the more focused we are and on the dog park rules, the more likely we are to get to some sort of conclusion on that. Even though the concerns about like park hours and possibly waiting in are legitimate, I'd love to just, again, keep this focused.
Ben, did you have a comment?
This is part of what, I'm sorry, I'm really bad at communicating. I'm really trying here. I really am. I'm genuinely frustrated right now. I'm genuinely irritated because I'm being criminally charged. I don't know if you guys know what that means. There's a police officer that comes in uniform to the Fairmount Dog Park with her beautiful Labradoodle. It's actually her boyfriend's. They're dating. We talked. She's great. She's nice. I have no problem with her or her dog, but her dog has testicles. I can see them. That is illegal. I think that's absurd. I've brought up my concern. I have explained why I have a concern. And I've gotten no, like, well, this is the history. This is why. This is the liability, even though I've asked for that. In these meetings, publicly recorded, I can go back and get the clip. And there's no response, none whatsoever. I send a formal written email to the director in writing. Hey, are these rules legitimate? I think you need to talk to KDPS. I talked to KDPS. I think you need to talk to the city attorney. I talked to the city attorney. Sorry, Mr. Stanley, we can't talk to you. We have open court. We have an open case against you. We cannot talk to you about that. I'm not feeling the response that you're asking for, and that causes me confusion. That causes me frustration. If I call the cops on anybody for being in any park, some kids skateboarding over in Davis Street or over in whatever park, obviously they're out there skating right now. They got lights out there. They're out there until 2 a.m. sometimes. I think that's great that those kids are skateboarding rather than doing other things.
I guess,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Ranting now.
I mean, we're some small aspect of the rule making part of society, I guess, here, but we don't get to enforce the rules. We don't get to, judge on the rules. And so there's courts in place to determine whether you're guilty of this crime that can adjudicate the law. And then there are public safety officers who are in charge of enforcement of the laws. And like, we're neither of those boards. We're
That's
neither
not
of those
true.
groups.
That's not true.
And I guess, Ben, what I'm trying to do is to create some sort of a mechanism at Sean's request to funnel these questions and concerns and rules that you have difficulties with or frustrations with, to funnel those to the city attorney's office so that you're not frustrated.
Clyde told me to bring it up at the board meeting. The city commissioners told me to apply for the board. I've been on here for almost a year. I finally got the conversation. We had the conversation after I got criminally charged. We had the conversation. And then the response was, nothing will change. Why? Because liability. Because liability. What does that mean? I had an officer, I had a sergeant who was an officer's boss, and I had a lieutenant, all recorded on phone calls. I can get copies of those for you if you'd like. They told me Bronson Park is closed at dusk. And I see you turning away, Sean. But that's part of what I'm trying to communicate, both as a citizen and as a board member on behalf of citizens. I'm really trying to communicate that we have a park rule. We have a park rule that says all parks close at dusk. I think that's silly. And I have officers, not my job to enforce the law. It's not my job to make the law either. That's Sean and the city commissioners. But I'm here to tell them, hey, I think if people are looking at Christmas lights, as Sean said, officers shouldn't do anything. But right now they have the discretion to do that. And I know that they will use that discretion on a beautiful mother with her 3 kids walking in a stroller say, oh, go ahead, go ahead. And I know that if I wear one of my sweaters with a big hole in the arm and I got my beard all, out to the side, my hair's all unkempt, they might be like, excuse me, sir, the park's closed. We're going to use our discretion. And I know Sean is saying they're never going to do that. Officer Pena did. He did. He did it 3 times.
But Ben, we're trying to create a mechanism for you to present these to Sean so that he can then present those to the city attorney's office. I'm trying to help you.
We did that as a board in November. And
Okay,
the
but
response we got back was, because of liability, we're not going to.
oh, go ahead, Sean.
Ben, you keep changing topics. You keep going from dog park to regular park rules. And John's absolutely right. We're trying to provide the mechanism to make some changes. And I said that I do think we need to make some updates. We do have to get it reviewed by the city attorney's office for a variety of reasons. So you need to stay on task. You're all over the place with the topics. For a second, it's dog park, then it's dusk in all parks. I'm not saying that we can't make changes. There needs to be a process. And the city attorney's office has to be part of that process. So if you don't like the mechanism that we're trying to present and trying to make this happen, then suggest an alternative.
This board. That's
This
what
board's an advisory board.
That's what I'm talking about.
But Ben, we obviously can't answer your questions as to why these rules are in place. That's why we're trying to create a mechanism to send these questions and concerns through Sean. So that's what we're hoping to do tonight, is you and Michael create a list of the rules that you have concerns with. We'll funnel those through Sean, who will share those with the city attorney's office. Michael, you had a comment?
So I have a question now, just based off of the conversation. So in this rules, whether it be the dog park or the park kind of review, it is one thing for me and Ben to get together and go through and look at the dog rules and say, this makes sense, this doesn't, I can't understand this, that, and this. What benefit does that do if we bring all these recommendations based off of our particular opinion to the board without the evidence they should be changed outside of just me and Ben looking at them? Like, what is the standard for what we should be looking at and what shouldn't? If we're going to focus on the dog park, even if there are things that need to be changed, how do we know the ones that we're looking at are the most important to the people that we're supposed to be making the park rule changes for, outside of what a board member might bring to the table? How does a board member speak towards this community and get those changes happening? I think that's what I hear is, like, if I've been talking about it, you told me to join the board, I'm on the board, we had the conversation, now you telling me to go to this person is telling me to go this person and coming right back here, then what is the expectation that the conversations we have are, how far should they go? Should we be talking about dog rules if we have no power to it? I think that's what you're saying, Paul. Like, what's the purpose of talking about rules? We have no power to change. So if that's the case, if we just gonna deal with Michael's opinion and how we feel about parks, then there are a lot of rules that I would disagree with. Am I responsible, Sean, to bring some kind of evidence to say, hey, man, I was at the dog park and I got 16 signatures that says we want to change X rule. And then take that X rule back to the lawyers and say, we have community response, board participation, signing off on X, Y, and Z, and we want these changed? Or should it just be kind of advisory saying, hey, Sean, this is what we got, you tell us what we think, and then we can kind of keep it moving to the next subject?
Pam, did you have a comment?
No.
And that's a very good point, Michael. We could very well submit these comments, these concerns to the city attorney's office, and they could turn around and say they're in place for a reason. I agree with that. But on Ben's behalf, I think we want to do that. I mean, he's obviously frustrated with certain rules. I'm trying to create a mechanism to share with the city attorney's office to help perhaps alleviate some of his frustration.
So there is another mechanism. It's called democracy. In the city of Kalamazoo, if you get, I don't know what the number is, 10% of the people that voted for the governor, it's like 2,700 signatures. If you get that number of signatures, the city commission either can pass the language that whoever writes it, I can write it. They have to pass that language, or they put it to a vote at the next election. I have almost $1,000 left over from my campaign that I have to spend. I have to spend it. And one of the things I can spend it on are proposals. So I guess I could just bypass this board. I could submit. I can go get 2,700 signatures in a week.
But we've just created a mechanism for you, Ben, to
I'm being criminally charged.
Ben, we just created a mechanism for you to share the concerns with Sean, who will in turn share those with the city attorney's office. We can proceed with that option, or we can just scrap it. I mean, I guess that's up to you.
I've already brought up the dog park rules. You don't want me to talk about wading in the pond. You don't want me to talk about being in parks after dusk, because that's talking about too many things. We got to stay focused.
Ben, do you want to get together and meet with Michael regarding the rules that you have problems with, and then present those to Sean? Or would you prefer to go about this on your own?
I don't have a problem doing that. However,
okay,
we brought up as a board.
So that's what we will do at this point.
We already did that.
Okay. Okay.
So do you want us to do it again?
Well, it's a different topic, it sounds like. So you're 0 for 1. You tried on the dog park rules. They had reasons to not change the dog park rules. Maybe when we try topic 2, they will be more amenable to changes. So let's try topics 2 and 3 or whatever. Let's try a couple more things and see if we get stonewalled again. And if we do, then it might make sense to either drop this as like a power that we have, or it's got to find a different mechanism to make rule changes happen.
I will be back in 5 minutes, Mr. Board Chair. Excuse me.
Okay, thanks. New business, election of a new chair and a vice chair.
I want to nominate Paul and Michael. I don't know which one wants to be chair and vice chair.
Actually, it's interesting that you would mention that, Ben. Paul and Michael have actually expressed an interest in those positions. I don't know if either of them would like to be chair.
So I would like to nominate Paul for the chair position. And even just like the more I've learned about just being on the board, I feel like just demeanor and understanding of the rules and expectation is just something I'm trying to gain. So I'm definitely open to serving, but I think, just from my experience, those two individuals have shown, the kind of leadership I can follow.
Okay, I'd accept that nomination.
I'll second that if you need it.
I think we need some sort of a motion. Is that a motion, Michael, that Paul would be chair? Would you be vice chair? Is that your motion?
Should we?
Michael, are you there?
I thought I froze for a second. Yeah, I'm here. So I will make that motion and willing to serve as the vice chair.
Second that.
Ben, you did second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Anyone opposed? Excellent. I couldn't be happier. I think you're both very qualified. I think you've both shown excellent leadership, and I think the board is in good hands. Great.
great
Awesome.
choices.
Thank you.
A comment I did want to make, and maybe I should wait till Sean returns. And perhaps Shannon can help us. Caitlin Becken, do you know if her movement from being a non-board member to, or non-voting member to being a voting member, do you know if that's gone to the city commission?
I'm not sure about that. I believe, but yeah, Sean would be a better person to ask. I know that she was going to become a full voting member along with Rachel, but I don't know if that was approved for January or not yet.
Okay, I did have a conversation with Sean and Rachel Hughes Nilsson, who had been a temporary board member until it was discovered we had too many board members. She is, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this. She can return to this board effective January because the city commission approved her for this board. So to my knowledge, she will be returning effective January 1st. So on January 1st, we will still have one vacancy. So we'll have Paul as chair, Michael as vice chair. Caitlin will be returning as a voting member with city commission approval, and Rachel Hughes Nilsson will be returning. Any comments? A new member orientation. I'm not sure if this is a Sean topic.
Yeah, he was going to cover this topic, so we can go over that when he comes back.
Okay. 2022 meeting dates and summer locations. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at our meeting dates?
Yeah, so question about, there's one scheduled for July 5th. Seems unrealistic. Usually it has to be after a Monday city commissioner meeting, and that'd be on July 4th. And so probably the July 5th date, I assume, is going to become a July 12th date.
Is that your recommendation?
That'd be my recommendation. I'm just presuming that it's going to get shifted anyway. So yeah, right. Board. I'm still a nobody.
Hey, Mom, you have the recommendation.
That's true, Paul.
The Labor Day, the Tuesday following the Labor Day in September. It's a six date following the holiday. So
Yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna be like, but it's just like that July day.
it's true.
Well, now I thought at one of our previous board meetings, we eliminated that contortion for the holiday. I seem to recall that at some point where we strictly moved to the first Tuesday of the month. I thought we had done that. Paul's looking perplexed.
Yeah, I guess I just thought it was always a rule that we had to be like after the first commission meeting, but maybe you're right. Maybe it did get changed and that's no longer the rule.
I thought
guess-
at one point we had changed that because there had been so much confusion surrounding it.
Okay.
Sean, are you there? Can you talk to us?
Yeah, this goes back to the Zadie Jackson days. It's always been the first Tuesday after the first Monday.
And what about if the first Monday is like the 4th of July or Labor Day is what we were just talking about? There's two of those coming up in the next schedule.
I think we've moved those as we needed to. But obviously looking ahead, we can alter that. I think with, we'll have to see where meetings go as far as whether they're virtual or not. If we go back to meeting in person, the virtual meetings and overlapping with other departments that have meetings on the same day won't be an issue. So I don't think there's going to be an update or doesn't sound like the governor is going to extend the virtual meetings past the first of the year. So it may be a non-issue.
Do we want to keep the list the way it is and make adjustments as needed?
It's fine.
Comments, questions? Paul saying yes. Let's keep the dates as is, and if needed, we can adjust them in 2022.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the dates as sent out.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Looks like we wanted to discuss meetings in the parks during this summer. Any suggestions about park meetings?
Which ones are renovated?
Farmers Market will be renovated. I think Benjamin likes that one.
When is that going to be done?
It's supposed to be done. It opens the first weekend in May.
So maybe the end of summer, just to give it a buffer.
August.
Sure.
Any other parks? Pam, we did some renovations at Martin Luther King Park. Do we want to meet there?
I think July would be great. We're planning on, and Sean might do a report, but we are planning on doing a rededication in June. And so I think July meetings would be better.
Okay.
Is Lacrone getting work? Is that one?
To get in a splash pad.
Probably a good September option.
Okay, we'll do Lacrone at September. Spring Valley, is that an option? Oh, let's do Spring Valley. How about June?
Millum? Have we met there?
Oh, that's a good option. That's a really good
I like that.
option. Yeah, let's do Millum in June instead. That gives us 4. Let's go ahead with just the 4 at this point. If we want to add more, we can, weather permitting. So we're saying Millen Park in June, MLK in July, Farmers Market in August, and LaCrone in September. Everyone okay with that? Why do we have a motion? Anyone?
I'll motion
we
to
have a-
approve those 4 parks for summer locations.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Excellent. I don't see any event recommendations. I don't see any adopt a park applications. Do we have any citizen comments?
No citizen comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. Michael, you had a comment.
No, I just wanted to follow up with the event recommendations, even though there's nothing listed. I wanted to follow up our previous month's conversation about if we had ideas or activities we wanted to include for Parks and Recs event, what responsibility we need to do on our end to make sure we can bring them to the platform and, get the support of the park or each consideration, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I brought that up is for the Soapbox Derby that I wanted to hand off to make a citywide Parks and Rec event. And I know there's going to be some extra kind of footsteps that need to happen in the beginning that I would want to put off on the park. I would love to, but I don't want to, just based off of what's required for the first chance. So if there's something that I needed to do to make it happen, I just kind of wanted to know what that was, or at least get an idea about what it was so I could put it together for future kind of consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Knowing what we have planned for 2022, I can't commit us to it by myself, but I'm happy to have that conversation with our recreation staff and park staff, because they probably have some logistical responsibilities. So I can check on that and get back to you guys.
Thank you, Sean. Commission liaison, no comments. Sean, can you give us comments for Friends of Recreation?
No significant update. We're working on a new contract. It would start in January. I think we're close to getting that taken care of. That doesn't really impact this board, but that's really the only update. There will be golf outing again in 2022. It may be in June. We're working out with Millen when that'll actually happen. So that's really the only update there.
John, do you want to have Sean give the comments on the new member orientation? I know there was a packet sent out of.
I think we wanted to get your feedback on the packet, and then my suggestion would be to always send that information out to the new members, and then after they have a chance to digest some of that information, I suggest we have some sort of orientation in person where we can answer any questions. We can go over, role of the board, some of the history of the parks, and that to me makes sense, but I wanted to get your feedback on that.
Pam, did you have a comment?
No, I don't.
Go ahead, Ben.
Any word on the ice rink?
Oh, we're not at that point, Ben. Just a second.
Sorry.
We kind of flipped it back to the new member orientation.
I gotcha. My apologies.
That's okay. I like the packet. I think we could fill it out a little bit more with a map of the parks, a description of the parks, things like that, which I'm sure Sean has. So yeah, I guess I would prefer to see it fleshed out a little bit more, but it's a good start.
If John, if you and others would just respond to the email that was sent out with your thoughts, we can start to add those things to the for the list of items we'll send out.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. Sean, are you prepared for your Parks and Recreation Director's report?
I am driving now, so I'm gonna keep it brief. I will send more of an update in an email form. The ice rink, I think we've kind of figured out the plug and keeping water in the rink. The parks team was doing some light cleanup and just getting some of the debris and leaves out of the cement rink. And then, as soon as we get weather that cooperates, public safety has agreed to come out and fill the rink with some water. Beyond that, it's all up to Mother Nature because we don't have a refrigeration system. So
yeah,
still working on it. And I think we've got a solution for the people to get access to it. If we do end up with ice, we'll have to keep a gate open, but I think we've figured out how that'll work.
Sean, did we have an opportunity to coat that surface so that's more reflective?
We didn't.
But that's in the plan eventually.
Yes, that's definitely in the plan. We didn't get to it this year, obviously, with losing our park supervisor. We didn't get to that, but that's definitely part of the future plan.
Okay. Was any sort of an ice rink purchased for another location like Bronson Park?
Due to the transition, we're not going to be able to pull off Bronson Park. What we wanted to do was try and make sure Spring Valley happened. And we'll do our best to make sure that happens. But I do want to still pursue Bronson Park in the future. And we have a person on staff that has done some home rink work, but we would need to buy a liner, and it's something to, we need to fabricate some boards to support that liner. So we're still going to work on that. It's not going to happen for, this season, but we're going to do our best to have ice at Spring Valley.
Okay. Any other topics for us, Sean?
I do not. I will send more of an update in an email form. And then if you have questions, just shoot me an email.
Sean, can you please share an update regarding the MLK Park, the completion and when the barricades are coming down? We can have a conversation later as well.
Oh, I do know the benches that were sandblasted and powder coated and painted are back. I think we're waiting on trash cans. The trees have been planted. I think we have all the tree guards up.
Yeah.
I believe the electrical panel's done. There is a small irrigation leak that'll have to be fixed in the spring. Other than that, we'll obviously we have a little bit of work with some of the turf. We got to get in there and cut it. And then, we'll pay attention to that, once the weather breaks in the spring, pay more attention to it. I believe the marker that was closer to Rose Street, they're working on the base, and that's going to go back in soon. I think the fence is coming out soon as well, maybe yet this week. And then Public Services is going to fix the cement, and I think the driveway approach on the northwest corner in the spring when the weather breaks as well.
Okay. I think regarding the barricades coming down, in light of the violence that's been taking place in that area, I think, and I'm not sure if any contact has been made with public safety, but I think it would be good to have that conversation in addition with the weather being as nice as it is. I know there's going to be an influx of citizens that's going to be excited about returning to that park. But I think that it would be good to probably talk with public safety so that they can more or less make rounds around the park or whatever. But I can promise you, there's gonna be a lot of people in the park. And I think that we should really plan the date in terms of when we're gonna take those barricades down. I don't know what your feeling
Are you
is
talking about the
that.
bollards for the road?
No, I'm talking about
Okay,
the
you're talking about
barricade,
the fence.
the fence,
Okay.
the fence. And then, like I said, I can get in touch with you about that. Some things that I wanted to share, a couple of things I want to share.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Sean, do you have any comments on the budget, parks budget from the city? Looks like he cut out.
I think, whoops, he's back.
Paul, great comments last night, by the way.
Yeah, I called in, but it was a little awkward. Any comments though about the budget? Anything happening special with the budget? Probably not. They're just going to probably approve what they proposed, right?
That's typically how that goes, yeah.
Okay.
And any other questions for Sean?
Do you know if Kalamazoo received any of the Governor Whitmer's parks stuff?
Not yet. The process for obtaining those dollars is probably going to flow through the DNR trust fund grant process, which that hasn't been released. If that's the case, that's the word on the street, but we're waiting to hear what the process was. We will be very prepared to ask for some of that money for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Sean, can you comment on the progress at the farmer's market?
Yeah, I can. Probably the biggest, it's not even a challenge. It's just is what it is. We're waiting on steel for the new West vendor shed. And the contractor will work, throughout the winter. They can work on the steel for that vendor shed, and they can work on the roofs and things like that over the winter. They are telling us it'll still be done. They're finishing up a few other things, and they'll come back in the spring to do some landscaping and things like that. But as all goes to plan, it'll be ready when we need it to be in early May.
Okay, I, as you know, I'm a block from the property, and I make frequent visits to it. So I was a little frustrated with the concrete contractor. They seem to have held up a lot of progress. It looks like the restroom structure is basically done, perhaps other than the roof. And that might be held up because, like you said, because of the steel. But yeah, it's looking good. I was frustrated with the progress because of the concrete, but it looks like it's moving forward now. Any other questions for Sean? Staff comments, Shannon, any comments from you?
Nope.
Thank you. Board member comments. Chris has departed. Pam, any comments?
Well, I'm going to be signing off after tonight, but I plan to remain active and involved with the city parks. I really enjoyed my tenure here, but I don't feel like I'm really saying goodbye because I know there's a lot of work to be done. I will continue to, with the youth, work in getting some initiatives in place at the MLK Park this summer by working with other nonprofit organizations. We're looking forward and planning for our rededication ceremony. Hopefully that will take place in June. We're working on getting the sculpture of the MLK statue here. And so that's sort of like pending, and we're really excited about the possibilities as it relates to keeping our young people involved in the various activities that's going to take place throughout the year, and wanting to partner with some of the other events that take place in the park. And I do look forward to making a presentation and bringing some of the youth with me, probably in a couple of months, as we get more of a commitment from our partners. And I just want to say, Shannon, you are awesome. The material that you put together, I have been very impressed. I recently met Amanda regarding some marketing things. She was excellent. Sean, we're going to stay cool, right? And so it's been really good working with everybody, you, John, everybody else. And so I got to find something else to do now. I don't know what board I'm going to get on next, but I'll be around, I'll be around. So I wish everyone well. Paul, with your new assignment there, and Michael, you were going to be my choice. And so anyway, before being talked about it, and so I'm sure you guys are going to do an excellent job. And so wish everybody happy holidays, and thank you so much. It's been an awesome experience.
Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
Paul Tenney.
Yeah, just gonna miss everyone that's leaving the board this week. So it's gonna be a sad goodbye for John and Chris and Pam. So we're gonna miss you guys, but looking forward to meeting the new people as they join. So that'll be exciting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, comments?
It's sad to see all this experience go. We got a lot of experience that's leaving us. But thank you guys for all the work you did. It was great talking to all of you guys about the things you're really passionate about. I love hearing the depth of knowledge you guys have. So thank you, and best of luck with what you guys do next. And you better come back and make comments sometime.
Well,
I'm not sure you want that. Michael, any comments?
So I got tons. The one brief comment I will make just to get on notes is I really saw this cool concept with the digital art that the city has. I think that if we plan a collaboration, we can really uptake our parks to another level. The reason why I said that is every time I see the giraffe in the park, I tell my kids, hey, I made it happen. And they have no clue about what it is or who made it. And I don't know, I can tell. I want to make sure that, we combine our processes, because there are already people doing this work. And I think if we work collaboratively, it might be easier to highlight what we've already doing. All right. So all my notes is just to thank everybody for just the experience and the learning opportunity that you guys provided in this board. I recognize the weight that you guys are asking us to carry, so I definitely appreciate it, and seeing you guys' hard work. The other piece, I just want to say thank you to Sean and Shannon. I know we get on your nerves every once a month, but you guys do a lot that people might not see every day. So I know it's the end of the year and people are leaving, but I want to say thank you just for what you've done for the city, for us as a board, and then everybody that's here and leaving and coming. And I just look forward to growing with everybody in this new year, in which everybody, a safe holiday season.
thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Joseph, any comments?
Yeah, John, I echo the same sentiments. Thanks to you and Pam and Chris for your incredible work on behalf of the board and the parks. You've set a great example for newer members like me, so I appreciate that and look forward to trying to fill your shoes in advancing the efforts of the park. So thanks to you. And I also echo Michael's sentiments about Sean and Shannon, the great work they do, and looking forward to working with them over the next couple of years.
Excellent. Thanks, Joseph. I just want to thank the board. I want to thank all of our new members for joining us. I'm excited to see what Paul and Michael have in store for the board. I appreciate all the hard work of Sean and his team. I really want to thank Pam and her team for all of her hard work at Martin Luther King Park. I appreciate Chris's hard work at Glen Park for that bike trail. We're still working on. But anyway, I appreciate everybody's hard work and contributions to this board. I think we've really made a difference, and I believe Sean and his department appreciate the hard work. Thank you and best of luck, and we will see you around. It looks like Sean may have a comment.
Yes, and I'm actually parked, so it's
Good.
safe. Yeah, we just got to soccer. We go right from horseback riding to soccer. So,
Oh, my.
you know, a heartfelt thank you and tons of gratitude to Pam and John. Both in their own ways have done great things for this board and been tremendous advocates for our department. We do have big shoes to fill. I'm confident that the people, it sounds like a couple people were voted in as chair and vice chair while I was gone, so I missed the exciting stuff. But again, just a huge thank you. Appreciate what you do. Please stay in touch. Pam, you don't have a choice. You get to hear from me no matter if you want to or
Right,
not.
but thank you.
But again, John, you know, we'll talk about the market and I'll see you around. And I just want you to know that good board members sometimes are hard to find, and I appreciate all that you've done. So thank you very much and happy holidays, everyone.
Absolutely. I think we're adjourned. Everybody, I appreciate your contributions.
Good night.
Thanks.
Happy
Have a nice
holidays.
holiday. Take care.